Hi guys, Young Leader Tom here, and today I'm going to go over the basics of photography. Now we're just going to focus on shutter speed today, just to keep it simple for you, those guys ready to take the first steps away from the automatic features of your camera. So let's get into it. So firstly, what is shutter speed and why would we change it? So shutter speed is how long the camera's sensor can see the light of the world for. We may want to change this for two reasons. Firstly, if it's very dark in the room or outside where you're trying to take your photo, you need to leave the shutter open for longer to allow more light to flow to the sensor. And secondary, if you're trying to take a photo of a moving person, an animal, or even something faster such as a car, you need a shorter shutter speed because otherwise your image will start to blur. Now I've got two different demonstrations to show you guys how this works, so let's jump into the first one now. So I've just grabbed my camera and all we're going to focus on is this number here, 1 over, and currently it says 6,400. Now this is how long in the fraction of a second our shutter will be open for, which is a really short amount of time. But let's say the room's really dark and we can't take a photo because it's so dark in the room that it's not going to be able to read it. So what we do is we change our shutter speed, so we can either, on my camera I can use a wheel, or even I can press a screen. And so you see how it says slow? So we can slow it right the way down and almost to half a second, let's choose. So let's take a photo at half a second and show you how much brighter this part of the room will become. So I've just taken my photo and as we can see, it's substantially brighter than the rest of my room. This is really good news for us because now we can see the things that are on my walls, such as my red sticker and my certificate. However, the issue is that as I zoom in and try to read my certificate, I'm unable to because my hands were shaking whilst taking the photo, and even though the shutter was only open for half a second, this is a very long time in the photography world. If I was trying to read my certificate, what I would do here to compensate is to put my camera on a tripod, as none of my subjects are moving within the photo. But let's say I was trying to take a photo of something moving. Say I was spinning around in my room on my chair and I wanted to capture a good photo without stopping spinning. So let's have a look at that. So I've just done some artwork on the wall behind me, which you guys won't be able to see yet. But I'm really proud of that and I really want to take a photo of it. But at the same time, I really want to spin in my chair in my room. So how do I take a photo of something that's still, whilst I'm moving really fast, but still make the photo look good? Well, what we do is we increase our shutter speed. This means the shutter is open for a smaller amount of time. So what I'm going to do is take my camera, and again, looking at this number here, is I'm going to increase my shutter speed until it's 1 over 8,000. That's 1/8,000th of a second. So that's a tiny amount of time that the shutter will actually be open for. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin around, and as I'm facing the wall, I'm going to take several photos on the way past, and we'll see if we get a good one. Ready? Let's have a look at the photo, shall we? Okay, so looking back at my camera screen, despite spinning around, by changing our shutter speed, we were able to capture this still image, and we can clearly see that I wrote the number 72 on my wall. This is incredible because you wouldn't have thought, spinning around so fast on the chair, that you'd be able to capture such a still looking image. Okay, so that was really cool because we were able to freeze time effectively there, where even though we're spinning around really fast, all of a sudden we were able to capture this still image. And I know I have a really big professional camera, however, it's possible with any camera that's a DSLR to take that moment where you increase your shutter speed and capture that freezing moment in time. So perhaps you've got a brother or a sister and you want to capture them running around the garden, or you have a family pet and they're trying to pounce on a toy and you really want to capture that. Now this is possible obviously due to the changes that we made to our shutter speed. However, two things that could have gone wrong with that photo is that if I hadn't made the shutter speed fast enough, I wouldn't have been able to see that number so clearly, otherwise it would become a drawing blur. So what we'll do in a moment is we'll change the settings back to the first photos and we'll take another one as I spin, and we'll just show how different that tiny change in time from going from half a second, which is barely registerable, to 1/8,000th of a second, which I can't even think how short that time is. And even though that's a tiny change in the amount of time that shutter is open, let's have a look and see how drastically it changes our photo. So let's spin and we'll see what happens. So I'm just changing my settings, dial it all the way down to 1/2 of a second. There we go. So now it says 0.5 of a second. So what I'm going to do, we're going to spin around just as fast and I'm going to click the button. Ready? Didn't mean to crash into my desk. However, let's have a look at the photo. So as you can see, these are the settings. And if you're ready, look at that. Not even readable. It's just a big white blur because far too much light entered our sensor, and we're spinning so fast, the door has become a smudge across the lens. Now I do understand that that was a really brief whistle-stop tour on shutter speed. However, using just this, I encourage you with this knowledge just to go out, and if you don't have a big professional DSLR, which I very much doubt you do like I do, try and find, if you can, a little point and shoot like this, because these have still got the same settings that this does, it's just this has a bigger screen to show you the photos on. If you can find one, I encourage you to go in the garden and I challenge you to take 2 photos. I challenge you to take a really pretty photo of your garden and a photo of a bird with the bird in detail and not being blurred. Now remember, if you're trying to take the photo of your bird, you're going to need a faster shutter speed. And if you're taking the photo of your still garden, you need that slower shutter speed to allow more light to come in to make a sharper, crisper image. Your camera will do all the other settings for you, and I can't tell you where the shutter speed setting is within your camera because every brand of camera uses a different one. I use Canon, and what you're looking for if you're in a Canon is a little bit on the top that's on the setting wheel that will say TV. If you're using a Sony, it will have a little setting on the top that says S. I don't know where Nikon is because I don't use them. However, I'm sure if you have a parent, they'll be able to help you out and guide you through the camera. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed or learned something from this. If you did, subscribe, hit the like button, come back for more. We're posting every day, and go and enjoy photography because it's a wonderful hobby and it really allows you to show your individual creativity. I've been Tom. Thank you very much. See you guys soon.